forward to. It's been a wonderful committee year under the leadership of another very special year for Calcutta Club with the First Lady President, Madam Kasturi Raha. So I'm sure we're going to have it's going to be a wonderful evening, especially with the subject of the particular event, that is the heritage of Calcutta High Court at Calcutta through the ages. So I'm sure with the speakers we are honored, Calcutta Club is honored to have them who have agreed to be a part of today's evening. So it's just allow us maximum 10 minutes for them to please come in and we start the event. Thank you so much. Requesting everybody to kindly be seated so that we can start the event. Right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening once again. So I think all of us are comfortably seated, and we do look forward to going back to the birth of since 1862. We are extremely grateful to the sponsors who supported this event. One is MSP TMT Bars, Structural and Pipes, and Manthan Steel, who really come ahead to support this wonderful event. Calcutta Club, we are extremely honored to our speakers, of course, who don't need any introduction as far as the legal fraternity is concerned, and also as far as Calcutta Club is concerned. A big thank you to Shri Anindya Kumar Mitra, to Shri Jayanta Kumar Mitra, our past president as well, Shri Shubhrata Talukdar, Shri Ratnanko Banerjee, and extremely grateful once again for them having agreed to be the speakers for today's evening. We are also grateful to Shri Utpal Bose, Senior Advocate, for having agreed to be the moderator of today's event. We have done several heritage events this year, but it was one evening, like heritage subcommittee meetings, casual talk. When this concept was casually discussed by none other than our own subcommittee member, Mr. Shatru Banerjee, advocate at Calcutta High Court. We discussed about it, and today here we are for a wonderful evening to walk down the path, discuss about the history of Calcutta High Court, and to walk through the ages as per the current date and time as I talk. I'm really happy that this year has seen many events from different subcommittees of Calcutta Club, but at the end of the day, it is a Calcutta Club event. Another historical part of Calcutta Club this year we have witnessed the first lady president. Extremely grateful to her for all the support that has been given, Madam Kasturi Raha, and also all the subcommittee members and the committee members who have supported every event that we have done between us as Calcutta Club. Before I thank our support team, the main skeleton of Calcutta Club, who have been there at every event, this being heritage, and I remember when Madam President, Madam Kasturi Raha, she did give me the honor to do this subcommittee of heritage. There were several events which came to my mind, and again, with her support, we did quite a bit. The starting point of this year, we did something called Mayer Iti Katha. It was the first event which was supposed to be Ma Aschen, Durga Puja, which I think it's not only Bengali, every person, probably globally right now, we look forward to Durga Puja. We had 18 members of our club, all Bonidi Bari. They came and spoke about what we do about Durga Puja, how Durga Puja is performed in every different household. Followed by which, we did the World Heritage Week in a mega way. We did a walk through the ages where we spoke about, where we showed old Calcutta through the years, through the centuries, where we did a kind of a fashion show, and also some skits were also done right up to why Calcutta Club was formed and up to the formation of this particular building as you sit here. It was followed by a different event. Vintage car events have become very common now, but what we did was we called the Royal Vintage Car Drive. So we did assemble here first, and then we touched the historical parts of Calcutta with those cars. We did a heritage dinner, right? We went through the books of Old Calcutta Club menu of Old Calcutta, and we did it. We did another talk show about Kalikata to Kolkata by Devarshi Rai Chaudhary, my namesake, about how Calcutta came through the years. The World Heritage Day was also another big event for the Heritage Subcommittee. We did a different event, it was not a religious event. We spoke about architecture of the temples of Bengal. Mind you, it was not exactly a religious event. It was about, when we go to pray, at least I do, we only ask God what we want. But, the difficulty, the artwork that's gone into building the home for God, we really do not pay attention to that. So we did a wonderful evening on that also. That was followed by the resurrection of a beautiful Mercedes 170 belonging to the Kashim Bajar Rajbari, a heritage dinner. Followed by which we did another different kind of event where we spoke about the history of our own Calcutta Club with a rendezvous with our very own past presidents, which was followed by another unique first-time event that Calcutta Club did. It was an inter-club heritage quiz, which was called the Echoes of the Past. It was won by CCFC, but we did come second. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, discussing about a very own Calcutta High Court. As I said, no event is possible without our support team. So a big thank you for the year-round work to our CEO, Indranil Banerjee, our GM, Joyanta Bose, Head of Wine, Shomindu Banerjee, Food and Events, Shumit Shah, Chef, Shanu and Jagdish. Big thank you to our main event team, that is Meenakshi Banerjee, Sharmishta, Shantanu Shah, Shakho Mukherjee, Shutanu Kormaka, the entire reception team, the security team, and the communication team. Spoken enough, I don't want to waste time. Over to Madam President to welcome you all for this wonderful event, Heritage of Calcutta High Court. Over to Madam President. Again, a history, ladies and gentlemen, the first lady president of Calcutta Club.
Thank you, Chairman Heritage and Wine. Good evening. On behalf of my committee and myself, I welcome you to this very exclusive program, Walking Through the Ages, the High Court. We have some legal luminaries with us tonight, and all of them are with us in the front row. You'll see them shortly. And of course, I know the room also has some very well-known lawyers attending this event. The Heritage Chairman has worked out some very exclusive programs this term, and all of them were very successful. I'm sure today's event will be equally successful, and I'm sure all of you will enjoy this evening's program. Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here and giving your time. Thank you.
Madam President, you may rest for some time, but you'll be called back very soon. Now I would like to hand over the mic to the person who was behind the entire concept, Advocate Shatru Banerjee, to take us through the evening and also introduced the moderator. Over to Mr. Shatru Banerjee.
Good evening, Madam President. Good evening, committee members, and everybody around here. When I was asked to conceptualize this program, I was a little shaky because it's been from the 1800 and the time was only 1.5 weeks. And I was even more frightened when two of the youngest people around here I approached told me it is impossible and you are doing something which will not be good enough before the entire people around here, especially when there are non-lawyers here in the event. But I think with their blessings and all of you, it has turned out to be, and it will be, one of the best heritage events of this year. So let us not waste time. Let us sit in the time machine. Let us go to the 1800. And for doing that, the best person to do it is my moderator, Mr. Utpal Bose. Please come.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here with you this evening, together with 4 legal luminaries who are about to discuss on a subject which is very close to our hearts at least, Calcutta High Court and the way it has evolved over the years. Let me make it very clear at the outset that this is not a symposium or a seminar or a declamation or a debate for that matter. It is a simple, friendly, tête-à-tête by and between us and you, by which we come to know about Calcutta High Court and get to finer details about it, which might stand us in good stead later on. I would not like to take your time too much. We have 4 very eminent speakers and legal luminaries who will be participating in this program. Mr. Anindya Kumar Mitro, Senior Advocate, Mr. Jayanto Kumar Mitro, Senior Advocate, Justice Shubhrata Talukdar, a retired judge of Calcutta High Court, Mr. Ratnanko Banerjee, a Senior Advocate, and we shall all get into the fray and try to tell you what Calcutta High Court was all about, is all about, and maybe will be all about in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I'll take the opportunity to call them one by one so they can be seated and the evening starts. First, I would also request Madam President to kindly come back here once again. First, I would like to call Shri Anindya Kumar Mitro. Sir, if you could kindly come up and grace the occasion. Small token of appreciation from Madam President on behalf of Calcutta Club. Thank you. Sir, pay the cash. Next, of course, another senior gentleman, past president of our Calcutta Club, Sri Jayanta Kumar Mitra. I request you to accept a small token of appreciation from Madam President. Next in line, we have Shri Respected Shubhrata Talukdar, sir. Small token of appreciation from Madam President on behalf of Calcutta Club. Sir, a small little photograph. Of course, Shri Ratnanko Banerjee, senior advocate once again. Small token of appreciation, Madam President. Moderator, sir, now it's your turn. Shri Utpal Bose. Please do accept a small token of appreciation from our side before you take your chair. And how can we leave the person behind the concept? Mr. Shatru Banerjee, sir, a small token of appreciation for you as well. Okay, no more boring you. I think you already want me off the stage. So over to a moderator to begin the event. Okay, just a small thing, sorry on that. I would request all my co-committee members to kindly come up once, and also the members of the subcommittee to please come up for a traditional picture. They're all seated, we'll just go stand behind them. So we don't want to ruin this opportunity of taking a photograph. Madam President, you please come this side. And Sri Advocate Prashant is also here. Oshikda is also here. Please come up. I'm really sorry to bore you, but it's a tradition. I see Madam Anusha Das also. Please come up, Madam. Our senior most committee member, ladies and gentlemen. So the Lady Raj continues in Calcutta Club. And we have standing in the middle our immediate past president, Dr. Amit Kumar Rai. Thank you. Over to Mr. Bose. Sir, please take over. You want to talk from here, right? Yes, I'll talk from here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Is this working? As I told you at the very outset, this is not a symposium, a seminar, a declamation contest, or a place where we will make speeches. We will, in a relaxed, homely atmosphere, discuss what Calcutta High Court is, was, and will be. Now, if one is to begin from the beginning, one has to go back to not just history, but ancient history. To be very precise, 1862, when Calcutta High Court was established. In this regard, I came across a very interesting article written by Justice Altamash Kabir, a former Chief Justice of Calcutta High Court and a former Chief Justice of India, who had, in a very succinct manner, put down what exactly were the beginnings of Calcutta High Court. I know our speakers will talk to you about that later on, but kindly allow me to read this very interesting paragraph from an article written by him. The Sepoy Uprising of 1857, which is also referred to as India's first war of independence against the British, was the beginning of the Crown rule over British India, which took over the administration being run by the East India Company. In the process, the existing judicial system underwent considerable changes. The Indian High Court Act was enacted by the British Parliament in 1861 with the intention of replacing the Supreme Court and the Sadar Adalats and to establish the High Courts of Judicature in the three presidency towns of Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. The Calcutta High Court was the first to be established by royal charter and by grant of letters patent on 14th May 1862, the very crucial date where the beginnings were made. And it is from this stage that I would request our speakers on stage to take over and talk about what happened from 1862 right up to the present day. Yes, may I request Mr. Anindya Kumar Mitro to start? Do you want Jayantada to speak first? Yes. Yes, Mr. Mitro.
As the learned moderator has just now spoken, in 1862, Hello, can you hear me? Now it's all right. Now in 1862, the High Court was established as the first chartered High Court in the whole of India. There were three chartered High Courts which were almost simultaneously started: Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. But Calcutta is the first one. So this is the first High Court in the whole of India, and it started in 1st July 1862. However, High Court did not start in the building that you see in the photograph. In this building, the High Court came only in 1872, after it was constructed. What happened was this: the High Court was operating from somewhere else, and only after, and the foundation stone was laid of this building in, I think, 1864, and then the construction started under the guidance of Mr. Walter Granville. He was the government architect, and this particular building which you see here, the photograph of, this was constructed on the model of Stade House in Ypres in Belgium. That particular building got completely demolished during the First World War. But our High Court, the replica, continued to remain. But as I said, that until 1872, May 1872, this building did not come into operation. Now, this High Court building has Gothic architecture. It's a very beautiful building, very beautifully constructed. Correct me if I am wrong. This building, the original building, housed, I think, 20 courtrooms in different wings. In the main building, on the first floor, there are 8 courtrooms. On the second floor, there are 7 courtrooms on the southern side. And on the northern side wing, we have got courtroom number 11, 12, and upstairs there are 3 or 4 rooms, about 5 or 6 rooms. So all told, about 20 rooms where originally this building started. But when I joined the profession, a long time back, 1965, there were 3 additional rooms on the ground floor. Room number 24, 25, and 26. Those rooms no longer are used as courtrooms. Now a new building has come up. It's a hideous building, I'm sorry to say. Our original building has been completely spoilt by reason of this structural monstrosity which have come up here on the site. But now we have got plenty of rooms, and rooms which are very spacious and extremely comfortable. But before I move on from here, I must tell you the beauty of the structure of the High Court building, particularly on the ground floor, which many people do not notice. There are wide colonnades and the columns are there, on the top of which there are human forms. As far as I could see, mostly these are agricultural pictures which have been depicted on the top of this. I would request all of you, if you have the time, to go and see this architecture. It is worth seeing. You will see a farmer carrying a plow and sort of, for agricultural thing. Another man sharpening a scythe. He is sitting over there and he's doing it. And these have been so beautifully depicted. One has to see it to believe it. Apart from these agricultural things, which I thought that perhaps at that point of time, the architect found around in West Bengal this kind of activity is going on, so he did this. Apart from it, you will find the musicians, the figurines of the musicians on the top of these columns. And this is the musicians, some of them playing drums, cymbals, and playing flute, and things like that you will be seeing on the top of these columns. Now the building is a beautiful building, but unfortunately, because of the passage of time and the pressure of population, the number of advocates have increased, litigants have increased. So I feel that perhaps this particular building will not be able to survive for very long.
Mr. Mitro, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know you have a lot to say about the building, but that is progressively what will happen to Calcutta High Court in the future.
That's right. That's what I think.
And I heard you say that it was established in 1862, but it was pulled down because in 1862, when Calcutta High Court started, it consisted of just a two-story building which housed the Supreme Court of Bengal.
Correct.
In 1862, it was pulled down and it took 10 years to complete. And during this interregnum of 10 years, Calcutta High Court operated from the town hall.
Yeah.
I read about it,
Yes.
which makes it very interesting. Now, this gentleman architect called Walter Granville, who was responsible behind this monumental creation, which is a work of art by itself, was actually the official architect of the government of India. And it is he who was sent to Calcutta not only to design the Calcutta High Court, but also the GPO and the Indian Museum and some other buildings. It is a work of art.
University Senate.
Yes, yes, Ratnanko, you have anything
1872
to...
University Senate, that was also
Yes.
designed by him.
In fact, why don't you just tell our audience what else happened at that time?
No, I mean, I would have loved to actually just go back a little bit before
Please
the
do
High
that.
Court, just to start from
I'll come back to you.
where because we have a colonial heritage in that sense so far as the High Court is concerned. So what I read, very interesting that we had in 1774, initially 1726, there was something called the Mayor's Court, which was also established by charter during time of King George V, I think. And those days it used to deal with company matters and all other matters relating to the East India Company. When I say company, it means East India Company and not anything else. And then in 1774, there was a regulating act which established the Supreme Court of, in Calcutta really, the fourth judicature at Calcutta. And then they also had a Supreme Court in Madras and Bombay. One is 1800 and one is 1823. So the Supreme Court was functioning, and during Hastings' time, they also had the Sadar Diwani Adalat and Sadar Nizamat Adalat. So one dealt with the civil matters and one dealt with the criminal matters. So the Supreme Court was then, after the Sipa mutiny, as Ms. Mitra was saying, 1861, they had the Indian High Courts Act. And then they established all the three High Courts in 1862, and Supreme Court was then really taken off in the sense jurisdiction ceased, Supreme Court and this other. And very interesting history along with that are the wakils who used to practice at that time in the Sadar, because you will find that the first Chief Justices or first judges of the High Court, Justice Shomunath Pandit Ramesh Chandra sir, Ramesh Chandra Mitter, and all of them, they were wakils during that time. And also very interesting history, they did not have any formal course for the wakils. So they all were vocational. So they used to practice, wakils were originally, they used to represent, they were diplomatic representatives of the zamindars in the Nawab's court. The Nawab Qasim court, there was some Nawab Mir Qasim court, they used to represent. Then they started practicing in the Sadar, Diwani Adalat and Sadar, this Nizamat.
Mr. Anindya Mitra, you
Yes.
have
Wants
anything
to-
else to add?
Don't moderate the flow of Ratnakar Banerjee.
He's finished.
I am-
He's finished the.
So I'm just saying, I'm
I
finishing my-
also want you into the flow now.
You know, when the four lawyers together, we need a moderator. Don't think we're very aggressive persons.
No, I'm not taking on the role of a policeman. I'm just trying to navigate the proceedings of this evening.
Now, what Ratnak was saying is right, that the strange thing was, when the High Court of Calcutta was established, the building was not ready. High Court at Calcutta was split into two divisions, civil and criminal. Civil side of the High Court was housed in Town Hall, and the criminals was housed in some other place in Bhawanipur area. I don't exactly remember. So building was not ready, but the court was established. That's how it started. Now we have heard enough of, I think, something substantial of the edifice. Now would you like to know what happens inside the edifice? The human beings who speak there, argue there, and do what they like.
Sir, we will definitely hear this from you, but I think Justice
Subrat
Talukdar has
Patel,
something to
yeah.
add on the historical aspect of it, he
Correct.
told me.
Well, I'm just
Let's finish
want
off
to
with the
say-
history before we come to the geography, biology, or other subjects.
I'll just take on from where Ratnanku left off about the wakils. It is an interesting point that earlier, before the High Court came in, the right to address the court lay with the Englishmen, the barristers. And the wakils would not have a right of audience before the Supreme Court. And the dress code was that the barristers would wear the black robe, and there was no dress code for the wakils. So the history has it, and I have made some notes, that in July 1906, the wakils protested against this discriminatory dress code. So the Chief Justice, I think Jenkins was there, and they thought about the matter, and they granted them a dress code that they wanted. They said, very well, you want a kind of university gown, you'll get a university gown. But the color would be blue. So the wakils wore blue and the barristers wore black. So that is why possibly the expression came in that I'll beat you blue and black. And finally, the dress code became ordinary to all. It was uniform to all, and we have the black gown for everybody. And as Mr. Bose Utpalda was saying, that we started with the Supreme Court, and a lot of history of the High Court today and what was before in the Supreme Court and the Mayor's Court with the aldermen for life, a lot of it is so anecdotal, so full of things which happen inside and outside court. That is, and I have some notes to share with you. I shall come back to that. And the history of the High Court is not only what is formally happening, it is also what is whispered in the corridors, the magic of this building. Because to me, the High Court accommodates so many people in the morning and afternoon. So much of transactions take place. So many fortunes are built and so many are destroyed. And yet, so much of money is exchanged, but you don't see money, visible money. So many fortunes are destroyed, but you see people still entering with hopes on the next day. And the building, as my eminent senior, Mr. Mitra, Jayanta Mitra pointed out, is best seen after dusk, where you almost, it's almost, I may say, that It's almost like, it's a bad comparison. It's like the cellular jail in Andamans. It comes to life after dusk. If you see almost people peeping out of the corridors, some litigant walking, you have an eerie feeling. I do not think I would like to venture there alone.
Yes.
Above the ground floor after
In fact, there are stories of ghosts also.
There are ghost stories of the High Court as well.
We shall come to that by and by.
So sorry.
Yes,
Just on the
carry
question
on.
of history, can I just give another information? I don't know whether.
Please,
So,
please.
just on the Vakils, 1857, and this is very interesting. 1857, Calcutta University was established on 24 January 1857. They had a Bachelor of Laws degree. So 1859 was the first Bachelor of Laws who came out. And a gentleman by the name of Huriwar Mukherjee. And 1860, there were 9 other Bachelor of Laws. And then 11th was Sir Ramesh Chandra Mittal. Why I'm saying this, 2 things. First, what happened, there was a issue with regard to whether Vakils can become judges of the Calcutta High Court or not. And there was a movement saying that no, Vakils also has to become judges of the Calcutta High Court. So that's how, though the first judge, I'm told, who was announced to be a judge on the day when Calcutta High Court started functioning in July 1862 was Sir Ram Mohan Roy's son.
Gurudas Roy.
No, Rama Prasad Roy. So Rama Prasad Roy was on his deathbed. So then apparently he had famously quoted that, "I am now preparing for a higher tribunal." And that's how Shobhanath Pandit became the first person to be chosen as a judge and then followed. And another interesting, this is a thing, you spoke about barristers, this Talukdar. In England, barristers did not have a course. There was no formal course in England in law till 1890 at the University College London. Before that, Oxford and Cambridge used to teach Roman law. So the first formal course which came in England for English law is in 1890. And 1857, we had a Bachelor of Law degree which was obtained from Calcutta University.
Good.
Because that's how the barristers, sure everyone has or some of you have heard that those days barristers used to have dinners, 24 dinners. And that's how law was taught.
We had 12 dinners.
Now they have 12 dinners.
Those who are doing the degree course, they were entitled to have 12 dinners, but others, 24 dinners.
So even our time there was, I mean, I did the...
I see.
So there was no
I'm
question of
talking about
dieting then? 24 dinners is no mean joke.
Now 24 dinners are all fun, but those days 24 dinners were the dinners
Oh
which
yes,
you attended.
it was an honor.
No, to discuss law.
Oh,
To discuss law, and then you got called to the bar. You had to discuss law with your peers. And that's how it was not a formal course. So that's how they learned the law. And similarly for Vakils, till the first examination came, I think about 1853, they used to learn, it's a vocational course, they used to learn while practicing or while being with someone, that's how they learned. So that's how the history happened.
Joyantada, you will correct me if I'm wrong. I have heard that initially High Court exercised very wide jurisdiction from the northwest provinces to the northeast provinces.
Yes.
And Assam, Agra, Allahabad, West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa was all under the jurisdiction of Calcutta High Court.
Absolutely.
And this came to an end only after independence.
That's
Is that
right.
so?
I don't think that it came to an end at the time of independence, only after independence. I think gradually the jurisdiction was being curtailed over the years. And ultimately, at the time of independence, our jurisdiction was very much restricted. No, but then again, apropos what Ratnanko has said, that the it was before the High Court came in, the Supreme Court was there. In fact, the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the then Supreme Court, which is the Calcutta High Court now, was Elijah Impe. And all of you perhaps know that Maharaja Nand Kumar, that he was sentenced to death for having forged a particular document, and that happened in the year 1775, and he was publicly hanged. And I have read the story of what happened, because Nanda Kumar was very highly respected person, extremely well respected in all societies, both amongst the Muslims as also amongst the Hindus. So when he was hung publicly, there was a tremendous amount of consternation. I would like to place just one paragraph, may I, with the permission,
please.
that I've read this. This is what it said. Calcutta woke up to an extraordinary sight on the morning of Saturday, the 5th August, 1775. Maharaja Nandkumar, a distinguished high-ranking Brahmin in his 70s, and until lately a leading light of both British and Indian social circles of the city, was brought around in a palanquin to be hanged at the gallows. A scaffolding had been erected in Kuli Bazar, a now extinct locality near the ghats of Ganges, within the site of the old and now lost Fort William. Built in the early 1700s, Maharaja Nandkumar sat impassively. According to the account of Alexander Mackerby, the Sheriff of Calcutta, who was present on the occasion, the prisoner's only concern was that none from the crowd be allowed to touch his body after his death, and that the members of his own high caste receive his mortal remains and perform his funeral rites. Nandkumar carried himself with much composure and dignity, as he did on any other day. He expressed his desire to be remembered by his friends on the Supreme Council of Bengal, the highest executive body in British India, at the time headed by Governor General. He professed affection for his son, Raja Gaurdas, and his family, and finally said a prayer. He showed no sign of any anxiety. Barely a day had passed since he had confided to the sheriff, a visitor to his prison cell, that late was an unyielding force of the God will and inescapable decree. A figure of composure, nonchalance, Nandkumar, the respected imperial functionary, had busted himself to the examining the account in the account books. On Saturday morning, Nandkumar stepped off the palanquin and walked to the gallows. The postcards were the posture was erected. His expression was stoic. He mounted the scaffold, his hands behind. He signaled the executioner with a subtle movement of his feet. A vast crowd had gathered, their eyes fixed upon him. When the trapdoor swung open, snuffing the life out of Nandkumar's body, a wave of shock and disbelief swept through the assembled masses. Their howls of agony echoed through the air as they struggled to comprehend how the British could go to the extent of executing this Brahmin of the Brahmins, a symbol of piety and virtue, a figure they believed to be irreproachable.
Those were different days and they were different people.
And just think of it, Elijah Impey, in connivance with Warren Hastings, had put this man on the gallows. I should say the first Shahid of India who was sentenced to death by the British people. And this was done by way of connivance, conspiracy, and utter disregard for justice.
Mr. Mitro.
There is a sequel to the Nandkumar story, as the senior counsel points out. Elijah Impey denied Nandkumar the leave to appeal to a higher court, which was the most tragic of the situation. As a judge, he may have sentenced him, but he could not have denied him the leave to appeal to a higher court. So therefore, Macaulay described Nandkumar's verdict as a judicial murder. And as Mr. Mitro was pointing out, Impey and Hastings were good friends and they had connived. But at a certain point of time, there was a tussle between the Supreme Court, which Impey was heading, and Hastings and the Governor General. The Supreme Court pulled up the Zamindar of Kusija for taking revenue, which the Supreme Court said he was not jurisdictionally allowed to do. Hastings defended the Zamindar and sent his forces against the sheriff sent by the Supreme Court to realize, to punish the Zamindar. So this standoff occurred, and subsequently Hastings appeared to have trapped Impey, as our books have it, by offering him a seat in the Sadr Diwani or Sadr Adalat, which Impey accepted, which led to his impeachment proceedings subsequently.
Both of them were
British
impeached.
Yes.
Both Elijah Impey as also Hastings,
Yes.
both were impeached. But there is
In
one.
Impey's case, it was dropped after a certain
Yes,
time.
yeah,
But
after-
then,
Join to the
There is one significant fact I forgot to tell you. This trial of Nankumar took place before a full court, consisting of 4 judges, Chief Justice being Elijah Impey. Would you believe that of the 4, there were 2 judges who were judges in the trial court? They condemned him, and then they were brought in the appeal court for the purpose of hearing this appeal. So the person who condemned the person, the judges who condemned the person in the trial court had been brought in the appeal court for the purpose of confirming the sentence which they had passed. This is a
That is
complete
unbelievable.
travesty of justice.
Aninduda, you were just mentioning about the quality of people who existed at that time and the way the changes have taken place. What are the major changes that have taken place in this direction?
What respect?
In the sort of people who would practice, the way people would conduct themselves?
Let us add some flesh and blood to the High Court. That's what it is. Ratnagar told me about Indian Vakil becoming a judge. Somnath Pandit was the first one. But let's see how it started. You know, the Indian judges who were appointed, their salary was less than the English judges of the High Court. Discrimination between Indian judges, native judges as they call it, and English judges. Substantial, lesser amount of salary. Next, an Indian judge, however important or great he may be, he would not be the Chief Justice of the High Court. An English judge must be Chief Justice of the High Court. That's how great judge like Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee retired as acting Chief Justice and could not become the Chief Justice of Bengal. This discrimination continued and ultimately removed much later when Chandramadhav Sen, the Justice Chandramadhav, became judge. Before accepting the judgeship, he made it a point that salary discrimination must go out. And it was thereafter removed in the 1930s. Next, becoming the Chief Justice of High Court, our Chief Justice of the High Court was Justice Harris. When we became independent, he continued. And after his retirement, the first Indian Chief Justice of Calcutta High Court was Justice Phani Bhushan Chakraborty. And thereafter we are having Indian judges as Chief Justice, and many of them. This was one part of development. You would call it development or progress of the High Court. But system, I can take you back up to 65 years ago when I joined the bar. What was the position, situation in 1959. And what is the changes since then? You will be surprised to know that I had to take oath. That was the practice at that time, to be sworn in as an advocate. The oath was administered in open court by the senior-most puisne judge sitting singly. In my case, it was Honorable Justice P.B. Mukherjee. He administered the oath in court number 8 to me in September 1959. That practice continued for some time. And I shall tell you how it came to be discontinued later on. Then another criterion was for a budding advocate to be eligible to be called, to be enrolled as a high court lawyer, advocate. That was pupillage. Pupillage means a young lawyer who has got a lawyer degree cannot straightaway be let loose on the society. He must be trained. So the practice was he must be a pupil under pupillage under an advocate of repute. And the period was 1 year. That was the period of 1 year when this young budding lawyer would be guided on how to undertake this journey into uncertainty and how to turn this journey into a journey of success, of respectable success, instead of uncertainty. He would be told what to do, what not to do, and normally it was told that you must attend the course every day, attend the interview course, etc. I don't go into details. But see the difference. A raw material is coming, and before being let loose on the society, he's being cooked in a competent lawyer's chamber. Then he's allowed to take briefs and to be enrolled as an advocate and to practice. These two practices, both these practices, have since been continued, particularly because of Advocates Act and amendment thereof. What do you think of swearing in, the administering oath to an advocate before being enrolled? Do you think it is an empty formality or useful ceremony? What do you think?
Well, it imposes one with responsibility. I think that's the... It imposes one with responsibility.
More than that, I think it instills in the junior
Gravity of
a
the
sense
oath.
of discipline.
Yes.
A sense of discipline.
Correct. That's what I wanted to hear. It's a profession of respectability. It's a profession of undertaking duties of public nature. So when you are asked to take oath, the new young mind is impressed with the idea of, impressed with the gravity of the situation, the importance of the position, the respectability attached to the position, so that in order to be a practicing advocate, you have taken oath. An oath was somewhat similar to the oath administered to the judges now. Is first of all, I uphold the Constitution of India. I owe my allegiance to truth and law and order.
You signed the undertaking.
You remember that?
Later on. You first, judge will administer the oath in the open court.
Yes, and then you sign this thing.
And the presiding judge will say, congratulations. Then you come down from the rostrum and sign at the registrar's office or in the court itself. So that was the idea which was will make the newcomer conscious of his duty and responsibilities, coupled with a practical training course, which has preceded his swearing in. So when an academically qualified person wants to practice law, he has got twofold criteria: pupillage training and taking the oath of responsibility. Both these practices have been done away with.
This is a change.
This is a change.
Definite change.
This is a change under the Advocates Act, and you will consider whether they change for better or for worse.
May I just ask you one question, sir, in this regard?
Yes.
Here you're talking about the practice that prevailed at that time. Now, would you say that the quality of litigation that existed then and now, there is a difference in that also, which is making some sort of difference on the legal climate?
Absolutely. Well, in course of 65 years, it will bound to change. You know, law is a dynamic subject. It's a growing subject. Every year we have hundreds of new statutes, acts of the parliament, which we must absorb. So, law is not static, and law should not be static. Law must grow with the needs of a growing society, needs of the country. What was considered to be a crime maybe 100 years ago may not be considered to be a crime now, or it's just vice versa. What was not considered to be wrong is now considered to be wrong in law. So, you are right, there have been changes.
Yes, the law has changed. There are so many new things
and
which
law
have come
should change.
Yes.
Law should change.
No, I had in this regard, Mr. Mitro, a specific type of litigation in mind. Public interest litigations, and this is my question also to Justice Talukdar and Mr. Jayanta Mitro. Public interest litigations were not there so much in the past, but today they have taken on gigantic proportions. This is definitely a change, but is this a change for the better, or is it a change backwards, which is being misused?
This practice started with Justice Bhagavati. He treated a letter of a complainant as a petition of complaint, and he initiated public interest litigation. That is called public interest litigation, started when the Chief Justice Bhagavati took the initiative. Now it grew, and every system, when it grows, it bound to have some good points and some bad points.
Let's ask Mr. Jayanta Mitro if he agrees to this.
About PIL, as you call it, it is known as Public Interest Litigation
Bill,
and some people call it Private Interest Litigation. So, Jayanta can say,
yes,
let Jayanta say on this interest litigation.
No, public interest litigation is a very important aspect in the in a society where people are exposed to the public demand and also public harassment. It is necessary that this public interest litigation should be there. But then again, everything, I mean every new concept which comes into operation has got its
plus and minus points.
Yes, and bad points, and in the sense that it is wrongfully utilized. Now what is happening is this: in the name of public interest litigation, we get a number of litigations which are of private nature, as Mr. Anindya Mitro says.
Publicity.
Yes, absolutely, publicity litigation, and these are to be nipped in the bud. So when you see there are 50 public interest litigation coming before the court, you can be rest assured 20 of them are absolutely worthless litigation. They are not public interest litigation. So they are to be nipped in the bud, and they are so done by the court. And courts are now imposing heavy cost on dismissing this application, is imposing heavy cost in order to discourage people for bringing this kind of misconceived, deliberately publicity litigations. So this is
Do you agree
what
with
is.
this, Justice Talukdar? Or do you have a different take?
The name, as Mr. Anindya Mitra pointed out, the public interest litigation as a concept was, of course, introduced in the 1980s by Justice Bhagwati and taken over by certain activist judges who promoted public interest litigation. It made, today we have a very fashionable concept, I would say, access to justice, which means you even live stream court proceedings. So those, in my view, have their limitations, because the entire work which the court does, the High Court does, like say the institution like Calcutta Club, there must be a little mystic about it. If you, every time you see Kanchenjunga in bright sunlight, it's not the same mountain. Sometimes it must be shrouded in clouds, sometimes it must be seen. So this access to justice, the promotion of it, maybe some people would encourage it, but we feel that we do deserve a chance, we judges, lawyers, who have worked hard, toiled hard, to work in a certain kind of environment where we are left on our own. And of course, the delivery of justice would reach the people. One of the earliest public interest litigation was sometimes in 1950s, when the University Science College staff, he approached the High Court saying that the Calcutta Tramways Company, which was a private entity, was not charging the correct fare. At that time, the Indian Coinage Act had been amended and fares were calculated in decimals. So that complaint came, it was almost like a public interest litigation brought by a private person. The court did not agree with him, so his plea was not entertained. But interesting part is that the court allowed the Calcutta Tramways Company, which was a private entity then, to be subject to writ proceedings, which we now say that sometimes the writ proceedings are strictly applicable to state authorities. Now here I would digress a little from whatever is a public interest or private, the quality of orders which we judges are supposed to pass, or lawyers persuade us and therefore we pass them. So the kind of situation which emerges can be, there was an eminent judge from North Calcutta belonging to I would not take names. So when Dhananjay Chatterjee, so when Dhananjay Chatterjee was sentenced to death, sentenced to death, and the question came up during of his appeal that there must be a stay on his execution. So then when the question came up, the puja vacations had started. The Durga Puja period had started. So the matter was assigned. This is of course the story I have heard from lawyers who have handled that case. So the puja vacation had started. The matter was referred to the honorable judge to be taken up at his residence. So the lawyers approached for a stay. He heard the first facts, and I repeat in Bengali what I have heard, ki Devi Pokke Norohotta stay there. So those are certain stories, qualities, that judges could exercise. But today we are so much under public scrutiny, and much of it, I was asked in a TV interview that are judges running the country? It is not the fact that the lawyers and judges are running the country. We are doing our job. People are knocking at our doors and we have to hear them. It is the discussion which is happening outside the courtroom, which is mostly unrelated to orders which we pass and the submissions which those are transforming themselves into a public debate. We are very much part of the public.
Yes,
but the question is, there is a fine dividing line.
Justice Talukdar. But one thing which I wanted to ask Ratnanku is, you do so many matters before tribunals, before the Company Law Tribunal, all over. Don't you think that there is an element of progressiveness which should be introduced insofar as judging cases is concerned, given the surroundings and the present scenario? Is Calcutta High Court, or for that matter, are high courts in general, being as progressive as they should to be, as they ought to be?
I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry, just to really understand the question. Progressive is what? Is deciding more cases
Progressive is
deciding-
deciding cases which tend to refer to values which were considered to be bad in the past but are acceptable now, where you tweak the law and interpret a section in such a way so as to give relevance to the subject which is before you. Will you be ancient and antediluvian, or will you be progressive and come out with something which works?
Tweaking the law was, with lawyers, it was always there. I mean, arguments were there before, arguments are there here. I mean, you must have heard that famous, or rather the joke which, used to go around, that someone, litigant who went and said that, I'm really looking for a one-handed lawyer. So his friend asked, what do you mean? He said, every lawyer I go to, he says, on one hand you can do this, on the other hand you can do this. So that way, so we lawyers always keep thinking, and we, of course, we try and interpret the law. But
No,
what
we lawyers do it. What I want to ask you is, are judges brave enough to take this step?
Oh yes, that's one thing which one has to definitely do. But then I think the number of litigation, and particularly irrelevant or not true litigation in that sense, if I may say so, there's some frivolous litigation, they actually started clogging the system. You don't have enough, and this is, I think, something which one has to address at some point for all high courts, for Supreme Court, where there are many more matters than what the system can support.
Anindita, in this regard, I wanted to ask you, as Ratnanku says, there's too much pressure of work on courts and judges because the volume of litigation is fantastic. Is that the reason why mediation and arbitration is being encouraged in such a way, in such a manner, so that the volume of work on the High Court decreases?
Yes.
Does it really serve any practical purpose?
That's right. It depends on the quality of these alternative remedy redressal institutions. Are they better than High Court or not, or equal to High Court or not?
Who is to decide that?
Now, that your experience will tell you, it's telling you every day. Now, it has been a pronounced government policy for the last few years to curtail the jurisdiction of the High Court. Am I right? Creating tribunals for what? For taking away a volume of work, a part of work for the High Court and transferring to a tribunal. Instead of setting up another division of the High Court by appointing new judges. Like let us say there could be a company division of the High Court. By adding new judges. Instead of that, they decided to set up a tribunal.
Fully agree with that.
And that tribunal, can you really expect to be equal to or as competent as the High Court would be? If they are most welcome, but normally, if you want, as the question you raised to Ratnak was progressive law, progressive. Then that means a judge setting up or enunciating a new proposition of law to fill up the vacuum. Statute try to do their best to cover the problems involved. But it's not possible sometimes to completely cover. Some vacuum, some gray areas remain. And it is the judges then come forward who fill up the gray areas and fill up the vacuum and provide the remedies. That is called progressive judge, the progress in law. And sometimes after the judge's judgment, law is amended, new law is introduced in conformity with what the judges have said that this should be the law. It has happened, I can give many instances, need not. So,
Yes, Ratnanku, you
No,
were saying
just sorry,
something.
Mr. Moderator, just to take one thing away, and this is something which I think I would now really like to ask all three of you, a former judge and three senior advocates, the recent change in how you see courts. Are the court proceedings being telecast live and that being on record forever to come? It is not only live, but it is also there for you to look at it whenever you want to look at it. It has 2-3 implications that A, the judge is always in public domain, whatever the judge is doing, whatever is happening in the court. The lawyers are also in public domain in the sense of what they're saying, what they're not saying, because it's not always that it is the argument. You also have to see how you're, as we all know, how you're taking the case, where you're taking the case, what points you want to argue. So according to all of you, do you think this is a progress, it is a good thing which has happened, or because this only happened during COVID?
Let's ask Joyantuda for an answer.
Two things to say. One, apropos what Anindo had been saying, I quite agree with him that by creating tribunals, by referring the disputes to arbitration, sending it for mediation, these are all very good. If that would have attained finality then and there, but it does not. What happens is this: an arbitration is held, an award is passed, an application is made for setting aside of the award, first in the trial court. It takes 3 years for the matter to come up. After lengthy hearing, after 3 months a judgment is delivered. The aggrieved party goes to the appeal court again 3-4 years. The whole thing, this litigation, which was supposed to be expedited by way of arbitration, actually, in fact, what happens is this: the whole thing is delayed. Only thing is this, what happens is this: instead of having the alternative dispute redressal forum, you are having 3 forums. First arbitration, second first court, appellate court, second appellate court, then Supreme Court. By the time the matter is over, the person who had initiated the proceedings is dead.
And in fact, I heard this as a joke, but somebody was mentioning the other day, from mediation and arbitration, besides the lawyers and the arbitrator, nobody really benefits in the long run.
And secondly, the point
Now,
that
Utpal, there's a mediation before commercial litigations.
Yes.
Have you heard of any mediation becoming successful?
I have not. I have not.
No. Only then 3 months wasted. Now similarly, as
not
you are
only
saying,
months.
the main thing is in a law is there must be a finality. Too many forums, too many scopes for appeal, further appeal going up will delay the completion of the final process, and before the finality, the person concerned may receive his final end. That's what
But think about the losing side, sir.
Losing
Think about the losing side. They might think that justice can only be done if you have a higher tribunal.
Now, you see, that's the point, Ratnako. Nobody will come out of the court being happy.
That's right.
Winners would think I should have gotten more.
Yes.
Losers think I am wrongly lost. But you have to have some finality.
I agree with you, sir.
And there, if I may quote a very valuable expression of the American Chief Justice, what he said: we are final not because we are infallible, but we are infallible because we are final.
I'm sure the American president didn't teach him that.
Either Donald Duck would not agree with that. But the point is that good, bad, or if you have to accept what is considered to be the final.
Absolutely.
Everything must come to an end. Any good thing comes to an end, bad thing should also come to an end. And the loser and the winner would ultimately is to decide.
Higher tribunal as...
Sir,
Yes.
On the question of the videos, what is...
Yes, on the question of the videos, I was wanting to ask both Joyantuda and Justice Talukdar. What do you have to say?
let the
Yes.
judge say
What do you have to say?
Video recording.
the
Video,
video
whether
recording
you're-
and public
Video
So
recording,
everybody gets to see
something
it.
to say.
video recording, I have a direct experience.
public
I was in court number, we're sitting in a division bench, court number 11, with Ratnanku Banerjee's wife, Justice Lopita Banerjee, for a long time my division bench partner. We were hearing one of those cases connected to the appointments in colleges, which had really seized the public imagination over the local appointment, teachers, para-teachers. So there was one particular appeal where because of one mark, there was so much of quarrel. So I happened to remark that this is like that single bite of an apple which Eve gave to Adam. And because of the single bite, the world came crashing. So court was packed, the press was there. So by the time I came back home, the television was reading, the Honorable Judge has remarked that Newton was sitting under a tree and an apple was falling. So I was so sad, and I was mortified to see that Adam's apple had changed to Newton's apple. But I was very glad to know at least it was a single apple, like a single apple. So this is what happens. I have a journalist background before I came to law. So I was for the Hindu and the Frontline, for which I worked in Delhi. We had one legal reporter, a senior gentleman, who used to come to office at about after lunch, go to the Supreme Court, Delhi High Court, quietly come, write his copy, go back home. No flashes, no flares, no audio visual, but the court was running the way the court was running, and the press, we were reporting the way it should be reported. With all this explosion in the media, lot of things are in the public mind, but it is not our duty as lawyers and judges to cater to what the people, public want. Their perception is one part of the story. The way we have to apply law to get it is definitely the most important part of the story, however unpleasant that be.
But this
apropos this, if I may just put in a word, this is absolutely correct that when I joined the profession, when Anindya joined the profession, cameras were strictly prohibited inside courtrooms. No photography, nothing. And in fact, I remember that the one fellow who came in and surreptitiously was trying to take a photograph, and he was sent to jail for contempt of court. Now, this has now changed. Now the camera has come inside the courtroom. Two things are there. See, everything has got one good thing and one bad thing. First of all, by reason of this, the camera having come inside the courtroom and the whole thing being videoed, and you can see it from outside, what is happening in courtroom, that has made, if I may say so with the greatest of respect to the lawyers present here, that has taught the lawyers to behave, for one thing. Because I have experience of people misbehaving in court. I mean, counsel misbehaving in court. I'm sorry to say, this is a very recent development. It never used to happen before. This has started happening. Now, if it is sort of, if people outside can see what you are doing, how I am behaving in a courtroom, if that is shown even in Delhi, my grandson rings me up and says that this is what happened in courtroom. Now, if that happens, this will sort of warn the persons who are appearing in court and also the judge who is hearing the matter to be restrained in their behavior. I think that's a good thing. But what is bad thing is what Justice Talukdar has just now said, that the court proceedings have come into the public. Result is this, that of course accountability has increased, and at the same time there is a possibility of distortion of facts. What happens in court actually, that is being interpreted wrongly outside, and particularly in media. And media wants to sort of, to make it everything sensational. And so they give some different picture, different color to the whole story, and they present it in a different way. That is the bad aspect of the matter, which I feel has happened. And I see it in the television every day. This
no, you're absolutely right, Jayantudha. In fact, what is happening is people are singling out snippets of the hearing. They are making reels out of it. And they are giving the impression to the general public, see, the judge misbehaved with you. But the person who is watching those reels doesn't understand what provoked that comment from the judge and what the lawyer did, what the lawyer said, how the lawyer behaved. Now, these reels which are made by editing portions of what is happening in court and what is not happening in court is something which is definitely not to be encouraged. Another aspect of this which strikes me is you go and tell your client that this point was argued. The client says, no, you didn't. Yes. See. So lawyers have this distinct disadvantage of now being accountable, to borrow Jayantada's words. Accountability has really been made very important. But as everything has a flip side.
Our court has always been a public. Public is allowed all the time. We have maintained transparency all throughout. The client's present in a courtroom. He watches how his counsel is performing.
He can't hear all the time. Now he sees the...
That is, if you don't make him hear, that is a different thing. But arrangement there, the court is transparency, total transparency. So, it's a public trial. And under the law, there has to be trial in public, not in private. So what's the objection? If the parliament has now gone also on video, of course I am not comparing parliament with us, but I see there is nothing new for us. Nobody needs a permit to come to court and watch. Unlike that surgeons, medical surgeons, we perform an operation in public, not in an operation theater. We've never done so. We are not afraid of publicity. Let our clients see what we have done. Let them decide and watch the performance of respective counsel and decide what they will engage them again or not.
No, sir, I respectfully disagree, sir. I respectfully disagree. I think we can't be a matter of public entertainment. I'm not on the question of public.
No, entertainment, a public watchdog.
No, public, it cannot be someone else's matter being watched by someone else as a matter of public entertainment. You see what the video has now done? Reels, sir, as you've seen, reels are small snippets. So they're distortion. I'm actually truly against, that's why I brought up the topic with regard to this. You see, as Jayantada said,
yes.
There is also a question of the client's understanding of what is happening.
Yes.
Because most of the time our conversation is in English. So there is an incident where the client saw his lawyer vociferously arguing with the bench, and the bench was equally vociferously disagreeing with whatever the lawyer was saying. But the client was impressed. Declan, কতক্ষণ ইংরেজিতে কথা বললো আমার উকিল. So the fees were completely arranged, and in a way that we need to maintain this lack of transparency. Let the medium of communication.
I'm reminded of something which was told to me by a very dear friend of ours, Dhruvo Ghosh. He had just joined the profession, and his senior had told him, go and stand inside these courts to see how submissions are made. You will learn. One day, he went to a particular court. His senior came from behind and said, please, hear what this gentleman is going to argue. According to Dhruvo, what was argued by the learned lawyer was sheer short of disaster. It made no sense. The judge was angry, the lawyer was angry, everybody was disappointed. Suddenly Dhruvo says, my senior comes to me and looks at me. I said, and he said, why have you asked me to hear these submissions? So that you know how not to argue the case.
I have just also a small, just
please.
The first times Supreme Court, and my dear friend Justice Jalan was then in a chamber of Sir Ashok Desai, so and we were in a court. So we walked in, and the very stern judge, who was from Calcutta only, I'm just not taking the name, so, and they had not filed some affidavit. So Mr. Ashok Desai, he was the Attorney General also at some point. So he walked in, and the judge told him, Mr. Desai, why haven't you filed an affidavit? So I said, I'm so sorry, we just filed an affidavit. Tomorrow. Not tomorrow, so 3 days, you have to file. and looked very sheepish, came out, and then while coming out, he asked Justice Jalan and Pratik and said but the client's inside. So, no, they couldn't get in by the time the matter had. So he said, oh, okay. Then he came out and the client said, what happened, what happened? Oh, I told the judge, I'm going to file an affidavit. Acha. He said, and I told her, I'm going to file in 3 days. Well, sir, thank you, sir, thank you, sir. So this is also sometimes, without the video, this might happen. But
Anybody has any other anecdotes?
Yes, I have gone, since we have now come to the lighter aspects of High Court, let me tell you the story. I don't know whether I have told this already to you. I was very junior at that stage. I was sitting in the Bar Library Club and I was sitting in the same room as Shankar Das Banerjee, the great Shankar Das Banerjee. And he was sort of dozing, sitting in his chamber. His clerk, Dulal, came running. Sir, ashun, shiggiri ashun, sir. Keno re, Dulal, ki hoyeche? Sir, apni kalke je interim order ta koriyechhilen, Justice Bankim Rayer ghor theke, seta vacate koriye dicche, Advocate General. Tokhon Advocate General chilen Snehanshu Acharya. Vacate koriye dicche, keno? আমি যাই তাহলে he just rose, he put on the gown and then very slowly he walked into the room. Courtroom number 7, the matter was going on. And very eloquently, the Advocate General was arguing to vacate the interim order and the judge was on the verge of vacating the interim order. Enter Shankar Das Banerjee. He came and sat in the middle. And then he found that the pitch is gradually getting queerer. So he started saying in Bengali, in very loud voice, he had a very loud voice. He said, he looked at Justice Ashok Ganguly, he was then a practicing lawyer, he was sitting there, he was not in the matter at all. So he looked at him, didn't look at the judge, didn't look at the other side. He looked at him and said, কেন রে আমি কি ভুল বলেছিলাম কালকে তো আমি ভালো করে বুঝিয়ে দিয়েছিলাম জজকে জজ বুঝেছে শুনেছে দেখেছে পড়েছে বুঝেছে জজ কি গড়ের মাঠের গাদা যে বুঝবে না and all this in loud voice. Then Mr. Snehanshu Acharya turned around and said, sir কি হচ্ছেটা কি let me speak, let me কেন বাবা আমি আমার জুনিয়রের সঙ্গে কথা বলছি তাতে তোমার কি এসে যায় তুমি করো না আর্গুমেন্ট যেরকম করছো and he went on saying this. Now the judge was in a quandary. Now if he vacate the interim order he will be a gadha of the brigade paragraph and if he does not then of course the Advocate General Snehanshu Acharya will be angry. So he thought that it's better not to be the gadha of the in the brigade parade ground. So he told Mr. Advocate General, Mr. Advocate General, you file your affidavit, let the interim order continue, and then. So all thing was done. Mr. Acharya was very upset. He said, "Sir, আপনি চেঁচিয়ে যে এসব বললেন, আমার তো আমার কেসটা খারাপ করে দিলেন আপনি." Mr. Shankar Das Banerjee walked out of the courtroom. The real thing starts now. He walked out of the courtroom. Dulal was standing over there and he was going to the Bar Library Club. Then Dulal came running down. Sir, Mokkel bolche paisa debe na. So he stopped on his track, turned round, looked at Dulal, did not look at the client at all. Looked at Dulal. কেন বাবা আমি কি দোষ করেছি কেন পয়সা দেবে না বলছে স্যার মক্কেল বলছে যে আপনি তো আপনাকে তো দাঁড়াতে হলো না আপনাকে কিছু বলতে হলো না সেই জন্য পয়সা দেবে না বলছে Shankar Banerjee in his inimitable style he looked at Dulal and he said loudly so that the entire corridor could hear Dulal মক্কেলকে জিজ্ঞেস করতো আমি যে ওই যে বাংলায় কথাগুলো বলছিলাম আমি কি ওর বাপের বিয়ের মন্ত্র পড়ছিলাম the client said, sir, কি মনে করবেন না আমি এক্ষুনি পয়সা দিয়ে যাচ্ছি। So these are small things which used to happen, which I miss today. The sort of things that I have heard, the sort of things I have seen, these are experiences of life. Some certain things perhaps I should not emulate. I will not be able to do what Shankar Banerjee did. But then again, these are lighter moments in the High Court which makes our life interesting and livable.
And with that, I think we've had a rather fruitful discussion this evening. Whether you enjoyed it or not is for you to decide and tell us later on. But for the time being, let me ask or pose this final question. Has the evolution of Calcutta High Court over the years, in keeping with the subject matter of the discussion today, been fruitful, been good, or has it been for the bad?
And this is to the audience.
It is for you to raise your hands. Has the evolution of the Calcutta High Court been good or bad? Those for the motion. I use the word motion for lack of a better word.
No. I'd like to modify your question.
Please.
Modify. You said you can ask them whether you think High Court to be an useful institution which should continue or not. Thank you. Yes.
There was no other answer possible to that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, but for the High Court, where would we be? Where would we go?
Yeah.
But for the High Court, where would we go?
Correct. But for the High Court, where would we go?
Huh?
But for the High Court, where would we go? Correct. That's why the question was changed.
Yes.
So that you could only answer that.
I can answer in the language of Justice Bachawat. Matter was being heard by Supreme Court. The parties were giving orders and the Supreme gave the order. Then the litigant was very unhappy. Sir, what shall I do? Kothay jabo? Kaji, as I told you, there must be a finality. In life, every sphere of life, you accept a finality, have to, good, bad, indifferent. Sometimes you are lucky, the final verdict in your favor. Sometimes you are unlucky, final verdict is not in your favor. But doesn't mean that verdict is wrong. Maybe your process of thought was wrong. Take it with a pinch of salt that High Court has delivered, tried to do justice to the best of the matters. The story Jayanto said, it is for your merriment. It doesn't happen in High Court regularly. Our High Court do not advocate sincerely practice, and they don't mind if their pleading, etc., is heard by anybody and everybody. Radhango said, why others will hear my argument?
No, I didn't
they
say
hear
that.
your argument.
I said entertainment.
Not at entertainment, not to judge, to judge. To judge this advocate, attorneys are there in the room, they judge all the advocates speaking and they decide, oh, this boy has a good speaker, I'll brief him. That's how the practice grows. Practice grows. If your arguments are impressive, it will impress not only the judge, but also the listening advocates on record. And that is why it is transparent, must be transparent. Let us not be afraid of transparency. It has been public trial, or we are used to it. All right. I think we are taxing enough of your patience.
Thank you, ladies
The
and
lawyer do
gentlemen.
not
It's been
tax
wonderful
your
being here
patience,
with you.
may tax something else.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, how did you all feel about it? I mean, something about the heritage of Calcutta High Court and such legendary people speaking to you about the subject. I think it was I personally feel it was a wonderful evening. Can you give a louder round of applause for the wonderful legends out here?
Please don't call us luminaries. They will be undermining High Court then.
Acha, okay. Acha. Kindly have a seat. Just a few more lines. Before the vote of thanks by none other than our chairman legal, Mr. Prashant Datta, I would request Mr. Shatru Banerjee to say something, about originating this concept, the discussions we've had, and of course, going to these wonderful gentlemen, making them agree to come and support us for this event. Mr. Shatru Banerjee, sir, if you could say something. And I request after Mr. Shatru Banerjee, Mr. Prashant Datta, our chairman legal, to say something. Of course, the vote of thanks will be given by him.
I think, as I said in the beginning, this would be the best heritage event of the year, and I can see it. I was seeing backstage. And the bar, even people were standing there, there were no chairs. I'm very sorry for that. We never expected such a turnout. I think we should give a round of applause for that. This is amazing. And I believe the manner in which Utpalda has conducted it, I think he deserves a round of applause without making it boring like what we do in chambers. May I thank Mr. Anindo Kumar Mitro for being here in such a short time, Mr. Jayanto Kumar Mitro, Justice Talukdar, and Mr. Ratnango Banerjee. There's been only, I think, not even a week to sit down and prepare or whatever history has to be reminisced. But thank you so much for making this event. And may I just hand over to Mr. Datta to give a round of vote of thanks to the...
That is why I am given the good evening. Good evening. A wonderful evening. Once Billy told me about a month back that he's organizing this event. I had no idea that this would be such a nice event. So, being in the profession since almost 50 years, the evaluation, the panel discussed, really moved the audience. So, on behalf of the President and the committee, it can be our heartiest thanks to the moderator, the panel, Mr. Utpal Bose, Mr. Anindo Mitro, Mr. Jayanto Mitro, Don Justice Subroto Gupta, Subroto Talukdar, sorry, I'm sorry, and Mr. Ratnango Banerjee. And thank you everyone present here. So we have some arrangement for refreshment. So please join us in. Thank you everybody.